Are you ready? It's the Roundtable with me, Robert Bannon. Welcome to the Roundtable, everybody. My name is Robert Bannon. You're listening to us on Broadway World over here on the Broadway Podcast Network, iHeart, and Spotify. This summer, I spent a week down the Jersey Shore with my family, and I was decked out. When you all saw me on Instagram and asked about my outfit, me and my husband's outfits, you saw this swimwear, you saw this entire ensemble with the hat to the tank to the trunks. I had the socks. I had the undergarments of it all. You all don't know what this hat. And I was reading on the beach this book, Sodomy. You could see my notes and when I tell you the inspirational love letter and the scandal. I read the first chapter and I said, "Oh, did he just say what I thought he said? Oh, this is a kiki moment. We are going to kiki and have the truth. You want to hear the real story about New York City and building a fashion line? Oh, David has got the tea for you all, and the book is out, and I am so excited. He's a legend in the queer community in men's fashion, and his advocacy and his work is so appreciated by us in this community, but all across the world. I'm so excited that David is here. David, thank you for joining us. Welcome to the show.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
David, some of your clothes I can't show on this. I'm just letting you know, but we all own it.
Okay, yeah, okay, I get it.
Okay, you could show it. I don't know if I'm ready to show. I got to get in the gym a little bit more, and then I'll show it. I promise.
I mean, yes. As long as if it makes you feel sexy behind closed doors or in front of the camera, whatever, it does its job, it does its job.
Amen. And thank you for the work that you do and the clothes that you make for us in this community.
Thank you.
So I've read this book, but my husband takes the book, and we get your clothes, and we're reading the book, and he reads the first chapter, and I said, "Is this what this?" You go in, David. You tell the stories.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's authentic. I'm telling stories about my life, and I live authentically. I've always felt that there's power, there's power in the truth, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so I live very authentically and very openly. And when it came time to write this book, I was not about to censor anything about my love story. It's mine.
It's yours.
Mine. It's mine. I may not be the most conservative person, but I'm a very traditional human being. So I'm.
And what I love about, in all seriousness, before we talk about the clothes and the book and all of the specifics, but what I love about it is sometimes I feel like there's a stereotype within the queer community of what life is like, and that it's a love story. Your story is a love story.
Yes.
And that is what moved me. My story, when I write my story, it's a love story. I love my husband, and it will be in every page. And I loved reading that in your book. It was infectious.
Yeah. Well, it's, when I got the book deal, a lot of my business advisors, they were like, write a founder story. There's such a hot market for a founder story. And I searched my heart and I said, I think we as queer people have enough stories about, we don't need more business. Let's have more love. So I really rooted the story and me and Fred's love story. That's to me, that's way more important than, than selling as many copies as possible. It's what I feel my community needs, not what the business community needs.
I love, they all think that the gays have all the money anyway. So now talk about all the love. So and shout out to Frederick. Hi, Fred. I loved his story and part of his story. And I loved your story together. I felt like by the end of the book, I knew you guys. I wanted to go have brunch with you. I wanted to kiki it up and share the stories you told and all of the work that you did. It does not go unnoticed. So thank you. What's it like when people wear your clothes on the street and you just are randomly walking by? Do you go to Fire Island? You're in New York City. You must see Nasty Pig everywhere.
I do. So what's it like? It never gets fucking old. Am I allowed to?
Yes,
to curse?
please.
Okay,
yes.
So when Fred and I started, we had this tiny little business. We had no money, and when somebody would buy something, that person would put literally, I take that $40 and I would buy groceries. My customers put food in my belly, and even today, while we're a much bigger company, I don't lose sight of that, and also the fact that everyone has a million choices. People work hard for their money. And when they choose to take that money, their energy, and put it into something that I made, that is a profound choice to me. They might not be thinking anything of it, but to me, they're believing in what I do. So it never, ever, ever gets old. And I mean that. ever.
I love it, and I loved the origin story of the name and how this company came to be. I had my own assumptions as to where Nasty Pig came from and what you were trying to say, and then I'm like, it's about a dog. It's about a dog.
Well, the name, yes, the company was named after our dog Piggy. Yes, that is true.
So
that is true.
Well, I went through the archives and found some photos of the different ad campaigns that you've done and the amazing clothes and the amazing clothes. And it displayed in stores everywhere, and how your logos evolved. And I was wearing this tank, which is still available for the summer, with the matching swimsuit. And my husband had the shorter one on, and he's like 100 feet tall. So I was like, you rock those legs out here on the beach. How do the designs come to you? Do you sketch? Do you work with a team of people? How does it work now in 2025?
So in 2025, my husband and I, we have a team of people here. My husband's the creative director, so he will go through my fashion shows, architecture, everything he's feeling, and then work with our designer. And then they start to come up with concepts. They run the concepts by us, and then they start to sketch. They do 3D sketching. They do sketches using Illustrator. And then we go back and forth and present them. They choose fabrics. We design. Right now we are designing. We started designing fall winter 26 in April. So we design. I'm designing fall winter 26. I'm pre-booking spring summer 26 with my accounts. I'm about to launch fall winter 25, and we are finishing up with spring summer 25. So there's a lot going on at all times. So we try to design and work on all of these things at once.
What is amazing? We're gonna talk about the book in a second, but what is amazing about the clothes in particular, which you can go to Nasty Pig and find get the clothes and buy the clothes right now. You can follow it on Instagram at Nasty Pig, and you can follow David on Instagram as well, and you can stay up to date on all the things that are Nasty Pig. What moves me is I'm from Fort Lee, New Jersey. I grew up in New York City, and I moved to Detroit last year. So I'm in Detroit, and I get the copy of the book, and we get your clothes, and I'm driving down the street in Ferndale, where the gays are out in Michigan, and I see all of these men's clothing stores and these queer clothing stores, and Nasty Pig down the next block, Nasty Pig down the block, next Nasty Pig. Your clothes started in New York City, and you started very specifically in this community, and you're everywhere.
I mean, kinda.
Yeah. You're not just downtown New York City anymore, baby. You are around the world.
Yeah, truly. On our Shopify store, we get to see where our customers are shopping, our website customers, and it pulls up a map, and there are people in the Middle East, in Africa, and you can just see where people are on our website, and it's fucking crazy. It's crazy. It's amazing.
Did you ever think that this was what it was going to be?
Yeah, I mean, kind of. Look, I was born with a lot of blind confidence, and when we started the business, I don't know. I just had this vision of creating a brand that would find the crossroads of queer identity and sexual positivity, and I just was like, I'm just gonna dream and take over the world, and just So I didn't know exactly what it would look like, but I knew it was gonna happen.
Well, that's yes, and then it's done. You did it, and you did it, and now you. And I'm not bullshitting you, David, that because you're here. Like when you could go to TJ Maxx and Macy's and Nordstrom, you could go to a fancy store and buy a bathing suit. That shit is gonna be itchy and run on you and not feel good. Your clothes are the most beautiful material. They always feel good. They don't feel like they're not going to give you any problems. It is made of material that really makes you feel as good as it looks.
Well, friend, something that people don't know about us is that we're a fashion house. We make all those fabrics. We don't just buy them from we make our fabrics, we make our snaps, we make our trims, we design it, we make the patterns, so it's 100% our effort. And my husband, since we met, when we first met, and we only had a little bit of fabric, 5 yards of fabric, and we would make a shirt, and then he'd be like, okay, I need to correct it. And then we cut out another one. And then I'd be like, okay, this one's ready for the racks. And he was like, look, Queen, If we're going to do this together, it doesn't go out until it's right. So that quality, that striving for the best is what my husband brought to the table, and we stick with it.
Well, you two are quite the team. And what I love when you talk about the shame, I no straight couples out here. And now this is not clothes just for gays, by the way. Men, put your clothes on. But and whoever, people. But people don't have a problem going to Victoria's Secret. People don't have a problem looking good for their husband or their wife. People don't have a problem. So I should have no problem putting on clothes in my home that makes me feel good and is for my husband. And we should embrace that part of our community. And that's what you let us do, is do it in a way that makes us look good and feel good.
Yeah, one of my early customers, who also happens to be me and Fred idol, Terry Mugler, or Manfred Mugler, who was he took us under his wing, and our philosophy, even before we met Mr. Mugler, was based on his vision that there is a goddess in every woman, and I look to bring her out. And I was like, look, there's a God in every man, and I want to bring him out. So
that's it.
Fashion. Say what you want about fashion, but it is the only art form that every human being on the planet participates in every day. Odds are you're going to put something on, you're saying something about yourself. You may not go to the movies, you may not listen to music, you may not, go to a museum, but you're going to get dressed. And fashion can really be transformative. I love it.
I love it. I love it as well. So you talk about your relationship. You talk about your husband being creative director. You live together and work together and run a business together, and you still speak at the end of the day?
Most days. Most days, but look, you need creative chemistry, and you also need creative conflict. And we have both in spades. But at the end of the day, our union allows us to live as free artists, and that is worth everything. I mean, we've been together, 32 and a half years now. It just, we get to wake up every day and call the shots and just create what we love. And sometimes we drive each other fucking nuts, but that doesn't matter. That's being in a relationship.
That's it. It's inevitable. And it's beautiful. There's beauty in that as well.
Yeah, it's honest. People. Yeah. Yes, go ahead.
When the book idea came about, did you have the idea? Did they approach you about the book? And how did you write it? What was
So they approached me. Basically, I was a poetry major, so I've been writing poetry my whole life. And then I got approached about writing a memoir by Unbound Edition. They're the press that put me out. And my process was, it's a little crazy. I would work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday as a CEO. And then my friend Steven, who has an apartment in my building that he was actually not using for a year, gave me the apartment, and I would write Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I worked 7 days a week from August of 2020. Was it 2022 to February of, no, it was, August 2022 to April of 2023. I worked 7 days a week. And I would just go and write furiously. I just would sit down and write. But I trusted my poet's voice. And every chapter, I made like a little story. It was hard. It was one of the hardest things I ever did. But
it reads.
I'm thrilled with the output.
it reads so well, like a conversation. It is such a nice, fun read. And you give enough of the serious stuff about the business in your life, with also the amazing work that you've done, and with some humor and some fun stories. Like it is something you're going to really enjoy the read, everybody, when you get the book. The book is available on your website. You can order it on the website. So was it hard? Was there parts of the story that are hard to tell, that you were hard to share with people, that people were going to read maybe for the first time and didn't know?
When I sat down to write it, I approached it and I was like, look, I'm just going to write my truth, not really think about anything. So writing it was hard. I think the real challenge was once it came out and my mom was like, oh, I just ordered it. And I was like, oh, so this is really happening. This is really happening. So, and my mom, like, she knows about my life. She knows Fred and I are in an open relationship. She kind of knows I'm, tend to lean a little bottom. But so she knows, but it was pretty, that was really when I was like, oh, wow, you did the thing, you wrote the authentic story, but now it's out there for the world. But it was really cool. My mom is an avid reader. She's never without a book. And after she read it, I was like, so what did you think? And she said, I learned a lot about you. She said, and you wrote a really compelling book. And there's a site called Kirkus that is like the premier book reviewer. And they reviewed my book, and my mom called me and she was like, you got to get it checkmark in Kirkus. They never do that. So she, look, the truth will set you free, So my sister-in-law read it. She loved it. It's a love story. Ultimately, it's a touching love story. The fact that, it talks about some touching, it's,
it is a love story. That's what from the second it started, and you'll hear their love story and their first date and their first moment and how it all happened and what David thought, and he gives you the full scoop, and then how they built this literally empire of things. As you continue on and you write a memoir, you get your history out, you tell your story. Do you think about the future of the company? Is this like your baby? This is your baby.
Yeah, this is my this is my giant poem to the world. I mean, this is my biggest creation of my life as an artist. So I do think about where it's going to go. Fred and I made a conscious decision as designers not to name it after one of us, because it should have a life of its own. It should live on. We made this, for our customers and for the queer artists and people who we hire. So I do think about where it's going, and but I want it to exist. I want, we raise money for homeless queer kids. I think there is going to be people who will shepherd it long after Fred and I leave. I don't really want to sell it. I just want it to live on as this entity. I think we need more authentic things where if people buy it, they know where their money is going. This business is 100% owned by me and Fred. So, yeah.
What I love about the story, I mean, you talk about the times that you guys were coming up and we were all like this, the queer community has been through the AIDS crisis. It's now going through a crisis again. Politically, we were attacked left, right. The entire country is attacked. The work you do, wearing this hat, wearing your clothes, is its own political statement in who we are, and that no one's going to really be able to push us around. Does that feed into what your mission is? Is that this community needs a place to feel good and wear clothes that feel good?
It's when we started, our first was, I guess it was a mission statement, but it was fun clothes that get you laid. Yes. When we started the business, like you said, AIDS was still killing our queer ancestors. Our own leadership was very like, we're just like everyone else. We're not sick. And I was like, okay, yes, for some people, but for some of us, I didn't feel just like everybody else. I felt that, my identity was wrapped up in my queerness. And so that became sort of a rallying cry. And it was basically that, own your identity, like stand in who you are. And here we are 30 years later, and people are trying to take that away from us again. So I always felt it was important not to bury the lead. Like my does my queerness and my gayness, define everything I am? No, but at the end of the day, that's who we kind of are. So at the end of the day, if people love you for who you pretend to be, they'll hate you for who you really are. And that's who I think really, well, it's not all we are, but that's who we are. So I've always felt it's important to stand in that truth. And standing in it now. And now there's a shit ton more of us out living our lives openly than when I came out. So for everybody who watches this, times are scary, but I lived through AIDS, and I will tell you, there's hundreds of thousands more of us now, millions. So let's try and stand in solidarity with each other, no matter how hard things get.
I need to be friends with David and Fred. I need to take you out to dinner. You're my kind of people. So that's all. So as the future, as we stand in solidarity, you would have been proud of me, David. I was on that Wildwood white ass boardwalk with your book and your clothes, with my big tall black husband. Like, I don't give a shit about any of y'all people out here. We are out here. We're gonna be here. And I was so moved by the story. What do you hope reads the book? Who's your intended audience? What do you hope people take away from it?
So my intended audience is definitely my my intended audience is clearly, I wrote this for, gay men, queer people. That's who I think would read it. That being said, the intended audience is for people who it's hard for me to stand in my accomplishments. I stand in this book. I wrote a good book. I'm very proud of it. So it's also for anybody who wants to, read a truthful love story. I would imagine it would be harder for certain people to read than others, because while it's not salacious, I don't shy away from talking about my husband having sex with me. I don't shy away from, the openness of our relationship. So it might be hard for some people to digest that, but there's nothing salacious about it. And I hope anybody who wants to read a love story, a contemporary love story, as well as a story about New York, or a story about the taking a dream and making it come true, that's who I would like to read it. I make all my dreams come true. I put no time limit on them. I just say, I'm going to do that. And I know I'm going to do it. So anybody who likes that vibe.
Sodomy Gods, you got to get a copy of it right now. You got to buy a copy. The summer is ending. If you're going to go into Labor Day, if you're going to go into the fall, this is the book. If you have someone who's celebrating a birthday, an anniversary,
thank you,
Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever, get the book, get a full outfit. Like get the socks and the hat and the whole accoutrement to the whole nasty big line.
You see, I'm blushing. Do you see?
I don't know
if you can tell.
The whole line, and this is as important as it can be for you. I think it's amazing what you have accomplished. I think the book is amazing. I know that you have lots of people who want to be your friends just so they get free clothes.
No.
But what I love is that there are competitors out there, and I'm telling you, you will not feel better in clothes than you do in their clothes. And they're not going to break the bank. They can charge a lot more money than they do. And,
yeah.
And you're going to feel so good when you wear something as silly, David, honestly, as this hat. Like, I love a hat. Okay. This material is luxuriously good. It's breathable. I feel cool in this hat.
Yeah. It's a gym cap. It's designed for performance.
And I have a big ass head, and it fits really, and that's not a joke. That's no pun intended on this interview. And I love this hat. I love the whole
Thank you.
What can we do to help continue to support, buy the book, buy the clothes, but also in community, we can all?
Well, I do think, when I started, people are like, oh, support gay owned and operated businesses. And at the time when I was much younger, I was like, don't support Nasty Pig because, I take it in the butt, support it because it's competitive. So now you get to see by your own words that it's competitive. 31 years later, I hear what those people were saying. I hear what my queer ancestors were telling me. Support gay owned and operated businesses. Look where you spend your money. Align yourself with people who share your values. They don't have to share all of them. We don't have to share everything, but really my advice to you would be think about where your money goes. It's very hard in this complicated world where businesses buy businesses and you never really know, but do your best. The rights that we have are fragile. They're a privilege. Just know that, we might have arrived at a place, but we already see things are being taken away. Just know they're impermanent and that there are people before you who fought for them. And we have everything to lose, but we have everything to gain right now. So, find some strength, and it's going to be hard times, but I'm cautiously optimistic.
Same here. Well, you got a fan in me. I'm ready to be rocking your clothes wherever I am going to be. Nasty Pig is available, and you can get the clothes. Go to the store at nastypig.com. You can follow them at Nasty Pig on Instagram. You can follow David. You can follow Fred too on Instagram. All the links and information will be below. And then you need to grab a copy of the book. The book is available. Sodomy Gods is out. Get it on the website. Get it wherever you get your books to be sold. And my show is your show. When you have a new line, when you have more books, when you have more stories to share, I hope you come out and hang out.
You got it. You got it. I would love to.
Fans.
I would love to.
Thank you so much for everything. I appreciate you all.
Thank you for the opportunity to share my stuff with you. I appreciate it.